If you're resourceful, there are a lot of ways to not leave money on the table and get paid for all that hard work you put in. Welcome to the final step in this playbook. You've packaged your film, premiered strategically, built grassroots momentum, and leveraged press. Now it's time for the part every filmmaker dreams about, getting your film on the biggest stage, TV or streaming. In this video, I'll walk you through how to turn festival buzz into licensing opportunities, how to pitch directly to networks even if you don't know anyone, decide when to bring on a distributor and what that looks like, and how to keep your film alive and profitable even if you don't get picked up. Let's dive in. After our festival run, I didn't know how to reach the right people. Then I discovered Real Screen. It's a week-long conference where TV and streaming executives meet with producers to hear pitches. That's all you do. Executives come to meet with producers and pitching happens. So you buy a ticket, set meetings, and pitch. The catch? Well, it's pricey. At the time, a ticket cost me $1,700, which is steep. But in a minute, I'll tell you how I could have avoided that cost completely. So I went, I pitched a bunch of networks. I got a meeting with Magnolia Network. They were producing a series called Hi, I'm Fill in the Blank, which is a half-hour docs on fascinating people. In every documentary, the person's name would be in the title. So, hi, I'm Richard Antoine White. They wanted R.A.W. as an episode. During this process, it's important to be flexible. Magnolia asked us to cut our 29-minute film down to 23 minutes for broadcast. It stung, but it was worth the trade-off. We got national exposure and credibility that opened new doors. So unless you're a big-name director, compromise is part of the process. But then came the legal jargon, like domestic rights and international rights, HD rights, 4K rights. It was over my head. At that point, you could probably just call an entertainment attorney and they could walk you through it and look over the documents. But I decided instead to seek out a distributor. And it was easier to get a distributor because I had already kind of greased the wheels in the pitch process. So that's when I brought someone on and I said, hey, here's a great film with great press. We've won some awards and a network is already interested. I just need you to close it. So it was actually the easiest money that they ever made. They took the deal. Their cut was 35% of the sale, which sounded steep, but I think is pretty standard. We haven't worked with a lot of different distributors. However, it was worth it. They did close more than Magnolia. They sold it to DirecTV, which was a decent paycheck. And they handled international rights, which is its whole thing. And eventually it got on HBO. So the exposure even led to a follow-up commission from the network to do a whole separate documentary with a decent-sized budget. So here's the lesson. If you land a deal on your own, you can get an entertainment attorney to review the contract to avoid any big issues. But in most cases, a distributor is worth it and will handle all that for you. They already have the relationships, you don't, and you can focus on the cool filmmaker stuff. So back to that $1,700. Looking back, I didn't even really need to spend that because distributors and their agents actually go to events like Real Screen to pitch for you. If I'd had one earlier, they could have just handled it. That said, it didn't hurt us. Pitching directly had one big advantage, and that's that networks rarely get to hear the passionate pitch from the actual co-director. So I think that helped sell it. So if you've got the budget, it'll still be worth it. You can network with a lot of executives and keep up with them and learn a lot about how films and shows get made and sold.
I know you're not following what I'm saying anyway, right? That's okay then.
Engaging with communities beyond distribution. So let's say you don't get traditional distribution. You still want to try to get paid for all that hard work you put in. So I built this tiered pricing structure for live events to license our film. I don't remember the exact pricing off the top of my head, but I linked to the exact pricing model below that has 3 tiers if you want to try this. We made pretty decent revenue from this. And there's lots of ways to do that. We kept screening R.A.W. At places like the Peabody Institute. They weren't directly involved in the film, but Richard did go to college there and they licensed it for a few events. There's other local screenings we did, and these events build up a grassroots following, they generate long tail revenue, and importantly, they keep the film alive in people's minds. Additionally, we started to have people reaching out to license the film for other conferences, educational gatherings, and Richard was invited to speak at a lot of places. He almost became this keynote speaker, and of course they wanted to show the film along with where he was speaking. Also, there are organizations that will distribute your film for educational purposes to schools, colleges, libraries, and community events. One of the more reputable ones is called New Day Films, which is actually collaborative, and I know someone personally who has actually made a living from that alone. So definitely check them out and other educational distributors. There's also a website called Kinema with a K. It's like cinema with a K. It's a very interesting organization to check out. I have not used them personally. They're a platform that filmmakers can use to rent their film out on demand. And I have heard from a filmmaker of a really great feature from Baltimore that they have used it and made a decent amount of revenue off of Kinema. Someone also mentioned to me that Tuba would be great for airplanes because shorts do well on those, but I don't know how to do that yet, so if someone could please tell me in the comments, I would be super helpful. Thank you for sticking with me. This has been the last part of my 4-part playbook. If you missed the first 3 videos, they're in the description. Here's the big picture, the 6 steps from all 4 pieces of my playbook. Strong packaging, strategic pre-screenings, targeted festival circuit, leveraging press at every stage, engaging communities beyond festivals, and partner with a reputable distributor. Not all distributors do a great job, so find one that works for you. I'm sure I left something out, so drop a comment, tell me what you feel like could have made this playbook even better, and we'll chat. Now go get your film seen, make docs, move hearts. Peace.